This is the plaintiff, Lourdes. She says she was a stellar tenant of the defendant's for 3 years, and now that she's moved out, the defendant's trying to take advantage of her and is keeping her security deposit. Crooks like this have no place in society. She's here in the good name of justice, seeking the return of her $1,100. This is the defendant, William Marin. He says the plaintiff only gave him 3 days' notice she was vacating, and that left him in a lurch. She caused him financial harm because he couldn't re-rent the place right away. So you're darn right he kept her security. Give her a refund when he lost money? No way. He's accused of turning on a tenant. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1,960 for loss of rent.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff says she was a model tenant, but the landlord won't return her security. The defendant says the plaintiff bounced without proper notice. It's the case of, where's the model?
Okay, Lourdes, you've asked us to refer to you only as Lourdes. Yes. You're suing William Marin, your former landlord, for $1,100, a security deposit that you feel he is wrongfully withholding. You are counterclaiming against her $1,960 for rent in January and February because you weren't able to re-rent it after she left right away. All right, you lived there for how long?
For 3 years.
Okay, and you were on Section 8?
Yes, I was.
Okay, that means you had a government assistance program paying a portion of your rent.
Right.
All right, what portion did they pay? What portion did you pay?
They paid, it changed, like it was $709 they would pay, and I would pay $271.
Okay. And is that what you were paying when you left?
No, I was paying
more or less?
Yes, more. $20 more.
Okay. So did you go from this, was it an apartment or a house?
It's a apartment.
Okay, did you go from this apartment to another apartment?
Yes, I did.
All right. Now, sometimes the transition with Section 8 isn't easy, correct? Like you have to fill out paperwork and wait for the new,
yes.
Okay, always. How long have you been on Section 8?
I would say 10 years.
Okay. So what happened?
What happened?
Why did you leave this place?
Well, I wasn't happy at that place. I had a neighbor that was a witch. She was very mean, and she was una bruja.
A real witch, or
yes,
okay.
a real one. Yeah, and he knew this. I would tell him about this, and
all right. So did you have a lease?
I had a lease for 2 years. I signed a lease for 2 years. That was my mistake. I was there for 3.
Okay, but so there wasn't a second lease?
No.
No.
All right, so it was on a month-to-month thereafter. I'm surprised Section 8 allowed that. I thought they demanded leases, not always?
They do sometimes. They ask for a year minimum.
Right. So how many, is she your first Section 8 tenant or no?
No, I have a few. I have like 8.
You have 8. Okay. So you know that sometimes it's complicated, the transition process, right?
Yes.
Overly complicated. Like unnecessarily complicated sometimes.
Yeah, they require that the new landlord gets his apartment checked out, so they'll have an inspector go over there, and then that may pass or fail. And if it fails, it adds more time. If it passes, then she gets the green light to move.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you knew you were leaving there for how long?
A few months, but they made me wait.
But you don't have a specific date, right? Because you don't know when they're going to approve the other place.
No.
Am
but
I right?
was giving him intent to vacate for months. I have that here.
Which is no.
Yes, I didn't know when I was going to move.
If you're intending to vacate, and then the next month you give him another one, and then the next one, we got to really know when you're going to vacate.
Right.
So how much notice did Section 8 give you about? Okay, you're approved. You can go to this place. How much notice?
No, they're not. They're not in charge of telling me. It's where I was going to move. The property manager.
Okay.
And I've been calling for months, and I've been waiting to get into that apartment. But I guess I heard they stole from the place copper, and I don't know what else happened that I didn't get to
So
move.
when they called you, how much notice did they give you?
The 28th. They called me
for the next month?
28th of December.
Of December. All right. So you didn't give him 30 days notice.
I didn't give a 30 days notice because they didn't give me the notice. I
know.
wasn't aware.
I know.
I wasn't aware
I don't
when
know
I was
if
gonna
you.
move.
I mean, I feel your pain. I understand what you're saying. The thing is, why is that his problem? He's not on Section 8. You're on Section 8. So in other words, sometimes we have a problem, but the problem costs us, not the other person. So unless there is something about Section 8 that says, and by the way, you get 2 days notice, I don't see why you're keeping the deposit because you got no notice on when she was leaving, correct?
Correct.
So who wins this? Does the tenant get the deposit back or not?
I think the landlord should probably keep the money just because if you sign something, you sign something.
But this was a Section 8 thing, and the tenant saying it's not my fault. Section 8 said no.
Honestly, I think it's tough luck. I think the landlord's gonna win this one, but tough luck on her. I don't think she's getting her money back.
I'm going in the back because you're nodding and smiling.
Yeah, I mean, she said she was gonna pay it. She should pay it.
Okay. Going inside the courtroom.
So did you end up re-renting the place?
I did.
When?
In March.
What efforts did you make to re-rent the place in that time?
I put postings on Facebook, and then I get a bunch of calls, and I screen a ton of people, and then I finally meet someone, and then...
Okay, so were you surprised when she said to you, I'm leaving in 24 hours? Or whatever it was, 48 hours, 72 hours?
I was surprised because when I spoke to her earlier that month, she stated that she had no idea and when and if she was
How
moving
many,
out.
quote, intents to vacate did she give you?
4 throughout the year.
Okay. So they become meaningless after a while because you're still going to want to stay there. And so you have a counterclaim against her for $1,960 for rent for the months of January and February.
Correct.
But why, though? She's on a month-to-month. So the most you would be able to get is what you have kept, which would be, well, actually, what's your monthly rent is how much?
It's $980.
$980 is the total. So the most you'll be able to keep is $980. It wouldn't be, you understand what I'm saying? You don't have a lease. It's not like she left in the middle of a lease.
Well, actually, we do have a lease. The lease states that when the lease terminates, it'll revert to a month-to-month.
Correct.
And it states that she's supposed to give me 60 days notice when she does decide to move out, and she didn't do that. So because
she has to give you 30 days notice, not 60 days. But and let me see your lease. And in any event, that would entitle you to 2 times 980 and not 3 times 980, which is what you're suing for.
I highlighted for you. It says 60 on the first page.
Yeah, except that's not what you had. See, that's one of the options. That's not the one that's checked on your contract. So she didn't sign a contract that says 60 days because that's not what you checked. What you checked was a period of 24 months.
Well, the clause that she did state, it says...
Like, in other words, this is a clause that doesn't pertain to this contract because it's just multiple choice, and you picked one. What happened, really, is that you had a month-to-month, so you... without a lease on it, so that becomes a month-to-month by operation of law, and the time notice is exactly, it's the 30 days, which she didn't give you. I see that. How'd she leave the place?
Beautiful, no problem. She's a clean person.
Yeah. I'm sure you were sorry to see her go.
I was, actually.
Did the bruja leave? The witch leave? The witch is still there? Oh, I tell you, man, there's no justice.
They're both nice people. I don't know why they didn't get along.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Lourdes, but you find yourself in this pickle, and if the place was impeccable, what you'd be able to keep is $980, so you would have to return to her the $120 extra. And this is, it's your problem, though, because that's how long it took for government subsidy to help you get the new place. The landlord doesn't all of a sudden, what's he supposed to do? Just eat the next month when he gets 2 days notice? I know you gave him as much notice as you could. You're a good person. But this is a problem, and it's not of his making. It's of the fact that you have to rely on Section 8 to pay your rent for a decade. So it's you who has to end up, take it up with Section 8. They're not going to, you and I both know they're not going to do anything. But you take it up with Section 8, or you tell that landlord, well, I got to wait another 30 days because I got to give my first guy 30 days. The reason you don't do that is very simple. You're going to lose that apartment if you do that. So you have certain things that motivate you and make you move in a certain way, and that's fine, but so does he. and he doesn't have to eat a month's rent over that. But you don't get these other months in rent for the reasons that I've already explained, because you have a regular month-to-month tenancy, not by virtue of a lease agreement with certain terms, but by virtue of not having signed a new lease agreement after the 24 months. So I find in favor of the plaintiff, but in the amount of only $120, because you get to keep the other $980. That's my verdict. Good luck, folks.
So the plaintiff prevails, but she only gets to keep a portion of what she was seeking, which was $1,100, and you only get $100 and some bucks back.
it's
You
not fair.
okay?
Yeah, I'm
You
okay.
understand the situation?
I understand, but it's not fair. It's not
Well,
fair.
it may not
Yeah.
seem fair, but in the eyes of the law, that's what
I
the
know.
judge has decided.
That's all. Well,
Are you happy where you're living now?
oh, yes, I am.
That's what's
yes,
important.
that's the best
Okay.
place.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Now here comes Mr. Marin, who is the defendant in this case. Well, you learned something about what you're allowed to keep as far as security in a situation like this from the judge?
Well, I think I'm owed 2 months because in the contract it states that
Yeah, but she
it
said
reverts.
no. She
Yeah, I
looked
know.
at that, and let me tell you, judges are normally right, you know?
Yeah, I'm okay with the verdict, but
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You must sign a few documents on your way out. Harvey?
So, Doug, look, it's important to understand your deal with Section 8 and your deal with the landlord are two separate deals.